So you get back over on deployment, and this is like within days, and you'll tighten me up on that. But one of your friends, Tyler Juden, is saying that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's out on a mounted patrol. IED hits the first vehicle. Then they get a small arms ambush, and I'm going to the book here. Our guys needed to get the disabled vehicle out of the way. And while they worked toward this objective, Tyler sprinted up to a high site on a nearby hill and fired through some 5 to 7 magazines of ammo, protecting his soldiers below. When the disabled truck was finally cleared, Tyler sprinted back to the truck. But the enemy had specifically targeted him. An RPG flew in, and he was hit. They rushed him back to the hospital at the FOB, but it was too late. Tyler died on the operating table. Fury rose up inside of me. I wanted to find whatever Taliban savages did this to Tyler and shoot them in the face. Tyler was always cautious. He took his job extremely seriously and never made mistakes. There was no reason for him to die. He described to me once how he believed his job as a sniper ultimately saved innocent lives. He was putting into practice what he knew to be true. He was helping the world, not hindering it, and he'd been trained to be one of the rough men who stands ready in the night, prepared to do his duty, prepared to visit violence on those who would do us harm. Tyler's death hit far too close to home, and we'd only just arrived. So that's not a fun way to kick off deployment. Damn.
No, and I'm not sure if he's experienced in your unit, but it seems like the guys that get hit are the ones that you don't expect will ever get hit. So Tyler was a year older than me. I respected him. I mean, it was crazy because, a guy's a year older, so I go, whatever, but he had such a professionalism about him, and I looked up to him, and I tried to learn what I could from him. And he only had he probably had an extra year and a half in the Army than I did, but either way, and highly ranked sniper, and he went up and he didn't take bad shots, so he was just popping everybody, and they did target him. He actually, I'm pretty sure it was Camp Chapman I'm not sure if you've ever been to the SF
I haven't
base there. But anyway, that's where he ended up not making it. It was only 2 weeks into the deployment. And, when that guy like that gets hit, one, you're obviously frustrated and angry. You don't know why it happened. But two, it's like, well, geez, if he can get, hit or taken out, it kind of takes you down in confidence a peg or two as well, because he's the guy you wouldn't expect. Not that you expect anybody to get hit, I guess.
No.
But, like a super soldier style guy.
Yeah. And I'm sure, like, everybody, if you held him in that regard, everybody held him in that regard. And so everybody's feeling that same kind of straight up nervousness, right?
Yeah. And he would walk by, like, on our ACUs, like, have a string, you're supposed to tuck the string in, some standard stuff. Mine would always be hanging out. And he'd walk by and yank on it, and they make me do push-ups and yell at me. And I wanted to punch him in the face, but I couldn't, and I understood why he was doing it. So it's just a fun story, I guess I like to tell people, because, if I could have decked him, I probably would have. I've only been in one fist fight ever. I knocked myself out playing volleyball.
That was it? That was the one?
Yeah. It's sad but true. It's in the book. Yeah. I don't know what that...
Well, you might as well tell it.
Well, yeah, we just were playing volleyball, and everybody got mad. I was going over the net. We made OE 254 like cables for the antennas. We used those and 550 cord. And everyone was like, "Quick, go over the net!" And I was 6'3", and the net was only 6 foot tall, so I was like just hammering it home. I had a vertical, like LeBron, so it was ridiculous. Whole belly button above the net, and I kept going over, and they kept yelling at me, so I pulled my hand back real fast before I did it, and I caught myself right in the eye socket. Ooh, knocked out.
You actually knocked yourself out?
Yeah. Yeah. But later on, when I had this happen, I didn't get knocked out.
Yeah, that's
so it's
true.
like, can you imagine what the Fist of Fury could have done? Floyd wouldn't have stood a chance against me.
I don't know if I'm impressed, if that's like super impressive or super not impressive.
Right.
You either have fists of iron or a glass jaw. We're not sure which.
I hit a bomb,
Yeah,
and I
that's
didn't
true.
get knocked out. So my answers have been,
Fists of iron.
the questions have been answered. Probably be in jail right now if I ever went fisticuffs with anybody.
So, it sounds like you guys ended up doing overwatches of a road in up by
Zabzik Pass.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
great time.
How long were you on that for?
Oh, we went out there and they were like, "Yeah, just go ahead and pack for a couple of weeks." And then we were out there, I think 50 days or so, and we just living on top of a mountain And then
just monitoring the road.
Yeah, just because they were bringing up convoys of jingle trucks with military gear on it to build another fob, and we had people on both sides. And I actually I was so afraid to tell my wife. I went down one day to get some food or something or get a resupply, and on my way back up, they made a stop. They want to register mortars, and I was like, "What the? I just want to get back up there." I got out and I slammed my door, and like the brilliant guy I am, I went ahead and used a fist of fury and I hammered a Hummer. And I ripped the scab open on my hand. I told my story to my wife. It was so much blood, it was gushing. It was ridiculous. But it was my wedding ring finger. So I took my wedding ring off, put it on the front of the Hummer, and I got the medic. I was like, "Get out here, Doc, Willis or whatever. Fix this up for me." And he had to put tape on it. I got back in, left my wedding ring right on the front of that Hummer, and drove back up mountain. So like for 30-some days, every time I got a chance to go down the mountain, I had a metal detector out. Like, please find this tungsten ring. Please, I don't want to tell my wife. I never found it.
I always like to give people that didn't serve a little, impression or of what it's like, and I thought this one wrapped it up pretty good going to the book here. Going so long without taking a shower came with its share of complications. Guys got trench foot from their feet being wet and sweaty and not taking care of them properly. I got strange rashes in intimate areas, and it wasn't uncommon for a guy to mutter about his balls sticking to his leg when he hiked. Every dude got chafed up pretty badly in his bodily crevices, and a common complaint was that a guy had swass, slang for sweaty ass.
Yep.
My armpits hurt. I sweated so much that the salt got trapped in my skin, and my back broke out in a raised bubbly rash. This happened to other guys too. The only solution is to get your ID card out and have another dude scrape your back hard until the salt crystals pop out. It's a brutal procedure, and it feels like getting cut with a razor blade, but it's all part of the fun.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Day to day.
Yeah.
Day to day, get some.
I mean, sounds like I was complaining in that one. Huh. No, watching someone like scrape salt crystals, like size of table salt, come out of there. I'm not sure if you ever experienced anything like that.
No.
But yeah, it's pretty bad, and you get so gross. And then I don't know. I took 4 real showers that year.
Yeah.
Like real ones. I mean, you'd go get a water bottle and poke holes in the top and spray yourself down. But then you got to get dirty all over again. It's this whole long process.
So you're talking in there like how it takes like 9 days or something before you get comfortable with your nastiness.
Yeah.
And then you don't even want to break the cycle and get clean again because it's going to take you 9 days to get used to it again.
No. The best part's like the winter because you don't smell as bad in the winter. Like in the winter, you don't take showers. You're like, oh, it doesn't even matter. It's cool. I'll brush my teeth, keep them pearly white, make my teeth look whiter. But it's pretty. I actually decided halfway into that deployment, I was like, told my wife, just send me 8 pair of Ranger panties. So I wore a whole pair of like Ranger panties for a month, and I just took them off. I was like, no, not gonna wash these. Just throw them away. Accept it and move on. $12 well spent. So, matter of fact, where I was Zobzak Pass, my pants got so torn they were like chaps. Like my butt cheeks were hanging out and stuff. And one of these sergeant majors came in, and they're all out of shape. Like, where you ate up like a bag of dicks. And he's like, change your pants. I'm like, Sergeant Major, if I change my pants, I'm gonna get another pair that looks just like this. Like, I'm not on the fob.
Yeah.
And you come in, they're like, you got to get a new uniform and all that. I'm like,
bring me one.
I'm like, yeah, okay, let me do that. You got it, bud. I know you're gonna get back in that truck and roll your ass out of here. So
back to the chicken wings and pancakes.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I had a lot of MREs.
That's good times. I gotta just straight up. I mean, in the SEAL teams, we just don't have to eat that many MREs. It's just the way it is.
Get to
either.
You make them. You can make those things delicious.
Yeah, you can.
That burrito, get at me. You mix a little bit in there. Yeah.
I actually, my first deployment to Iraq, we ate MREs for a little while, and I was legitimately sick of them. And it wasn't that long, but I was already sick of them. It wasn't no 50 days. I can promise you that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
You were just going to say something about the SEAL teams, weren't you?
No, I would never. Are you kidding me? I don't have fist of fury to defend myself. So
we're getting shipped in steaks and crap like that.
I mean, later on that deployment, we had like steaks on like one day a week. They'd bring out like these frozen steaks, so we'd cook them over like an open pit of fire with a stick through them.
Yeah, dude,
no flavor.
It is legit. Like we'd go out to some my first deployment, we'd go out to, because we were on BIAP in Baghdad, big chow hall, everything good, and we'd go out to do an op somewhere. There'd be some SF group in the middle of nowhere, and you'd see how they're living. And it wasn't always an SF group. Sometimes it's an army, some army platoon or company out there in the middle of nowhere, and you're like, dang, these boys are roughing it. Nasty.
And we're here like, they brought Gatorade. They brought a case of Gatorade. Yeah. Give me two. Give me two. I'm going to hide one in my pillowcase.
You'd feel bad. They'd be like, oh, man, you're in the SEAL teams. We're like, dude, I'm ashamed to like even be hanging out with you right now.
You guys smell so bad. I don't know why they brought me out here. Can you guys go sit over there? We're just going to sit here. Leave us alone.
We'd get guys like, do you know what? We've gone 3 days without a shower. This is crap, man.
Yeah, we did that. It's totally the same life. But during the suck, it's still like it's funny. Like my friends from high school, right? I have 2 really good friends I can talk with, whatever. But if I run to another person from high school or whatever, we'll catch up on everything. And then it's like, oh, great talking to you, and then you find your way out of the conversation. But you run to military buddies you haven't seen in years, and you just go right back into it, just because you understand where you've been, what you're going through.
Yeah. Speaking of going through stuff, here we go. Back to the book. The Taliban screeched to a stop and started shooting at the ANP. Bullets cracked all around us. We got word from higher command to engage. I yelled to my men, fire. We shot our rifles, and Schwartz let loose with several bursts of machine gun. Rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat. This is my first large-scale firefight of any kind. It hit me with a wham that this wasn't merely a training exercise anymore. This was the real deal. My adrenaline rose, and with it a surge of energy. But I also felt calm, as if all my training had kicked in at once, and I just did what I was trained to do. I honestly wasn't afraid. I took aim and fired at the bad guys. They fired at me, and it didn't faze me to think that I might kill somebody when they wanted to kill me first. I saw several Taliban members get hit and fall. More fell, and more. The last few who were left turned around and took off up the wadi. We got word not to give chase because wadis are great choke points for potential enemy ambushes. When the shooting died down completely, we approached close enough to see the bodies of the enemy soldiers I'd just helped kill. It was a surreal feeling, but I reminded myself that this is what soldiers are built to do. We received reports later that 3 of the men killed were top Taliban leaders in the region. So there's your first gunfight.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah. So the ANP commander was a former Taliban guy, and he switched over sides and ran the ANP. And he's like, yeah, they're having a big meeting. I got a call. They're going to come down this wadi. We'll go check it out. And then all of a sudden, just dropping, Mark 19 and the 50 cal and 240 on them, and just, hey, going nuts. And then they come back, and they're really good about taking their bodies away with them. They're pretty good about it. But they were like 18 or 20 people deep in the wadi coming, and we just led into them. And that was my first real taste of actually shooting my gun at people.
What were you, a team leader at this point?
No, I was actually a squad leader.
Oh, that's right.
I was a position up, so I was still an E5, but I was in a squad leader position. So I always tried to do
a weapon squad?
No, we were actually we were mounted.
Okay.
So I had my own truck, but I had 2 trucks that were under me. So I had two trucks that were 2 teams. I had 2 team leaders that were underneath me, and then we each had a truck. So my senior team leader had he was a TC of his truck, and then I was a TC of the junior team leader that I had. Yeah. But it was a good time.
Again, I said that I was speaking somewhere the other day, and I said something along those lines, and somebody said I think it's kind of weird that you say it's a good time and fun, and I'm like, well,
it's adrenaline rush like you're not gonna get.
It's a good time and fun. I mean,
they shot at me first. I mean, he started it.
They started.
Yeah, defend yourself. But yeah, and then it didn't faze me. It didn't hit me hard. I wasn't worried about it. Just kept moving on. As a matter of fact, that region died right down, completely after that.
Well, if you kill all those bad guys, that certainly has an impact.
That was our first night out there too. Moved out to the middle of nowhere in a snowstorm, and that was maybe not first night or second night out there. And we just shot everybody, and then for the next 2 months it was quiet. And they were they backfilled us with some other platoon. They're like, hey, we're going to bring in this platoon here. You guys are going to go up north where there's a lot of fighting in Bala Murghab. All right, cool, let's do it.
So that's the next big movement that you made, was that spot. Mm-hmm. And that place had a bad rep, as far as being a lot of fighting there.
Bala Murghab was real heavy. It was the Bala Murghab River, and when we got there, the Italians were there before us, and I guess they were just like, "Hey, Taliban, don't mess with us. Here's some money, and we're good." And we're the 82nd, so we're like, "No, not gonna happen." And the infantry platoon that we replaced, and I mean, for the record, I am infantry. I was in a cav unit, but they always have Charlie Troop is an infantry platoon they bring in, and then we had these coin platoons. So it was like 2 infantry and 2 cav squads to make the platoons up. But yeah, we replaced these the infantry guys. They had 2 guys killed. Unfortunately, fell into a river. There was actually a ceasefire with the Taliban to find the bodies and bring the bodies back. And we got up there, and there was like a line in the sand. They said, "Look, you cross this line, you're gonna get shot at." And we were like, "All right, cool." So we started taking ground, and everywhere that there's a fighting position on top of a mountain, they would booby trap it when they were done. So a guy, one of the FOs, Sergeant Fox, good guy, he picked up a matchbox. He's like, "Yep, I got a matchbox. It looks like," and then just they only found his torso. That was, everything else was gone, just his body armor. But instead of staying in one spot at this one, we took one more spot. And they're like, "Yeah, well, some MARSOC guys went up here, to another
Was this
spot."
was these the strong points like Corvette and Impala? Is that what we're talking about now? Yeah. These are in your book. You talk about those being, and Impala was the even worse one, even further into enemy territory.
Yeah, and they were like, "Yeah, we had like a MARSOC guy got shot in the head when he was up there." Because there's like a 8-man team that went in. They're like, "You guys can't really go there," so we decided one night we're gonna go there. We got all ready for it.
What was Impala physically? What is it, like a little former like house or something?
It was absolutely, it was a house, and we decided we were gonna take it one night because it was the last house on the edge of town, and then there was 1,200 meters between the next like village, and the Taliban would go in there and shoot at us, and be able to sneak down away far enough, and we had a javelin team come up on one side. We went up in the middle of the night on this side, and we had other people on this side, and we just took it in the middle of the night. And then they said, "We're gonna go up there for like 3 days, do reconnaissance, come back." And they're like, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna stay there." So the work didn't stop. We had to fill sandbags, put up barbed wire, and then we went up the side of a mountain and built and dug in an OP. But it was like we had 21 guys there. Taliban never knew. We only had 21 man platoon, so we had like 13 down at the cop, and then we sent the rest of them up on top of a hill. And we dug in so deep that was 8-foot deep pits, and there was a living room, a 240 pit, a 50 cal pit, like a little dining kitchen area, and then like 3 sleeping pits, like 3 like that 2 cots would fit in. Like it was huge.
Did you put overhead cover on them somehow?
No, we just dug them deep enough where you didn't
need it.
Yeah, I mean we put our ponchos over it, things like that.
But not protection from mortars.
No. And if you stood up when they were digging it, and they started digging it, when you stood up and you were digging, they start shooting at us, and then we just rain hell. And we dug in, and after about a month of that, we just were killing so many, they just gave it up. They're like, "All right, we're done." And that's where they came out. We were black on water, and then like the brass came out. And they're like, "Why aren't you guys shaving? Where's your haircuts?" And we're like, "We don't have water. Are you kidding me right now, bro?" And then the same sergeant major yelled for my pants. They wanted to go up to CROP, so my platoon sergeant's like, "Hey, Sergeant Mills, can you take one of your teams and just go?" So we took 4 men out, and I walked them right over what I thought the road was clear, but it was all filled with water when we took the place. Walked them over huge IEDs. The batteries had died in them because we waited too long. But when they dried up, they're like, "Oh, there's a mortar. Oh, look at that. That's an AT mine, a triple stack, But anyways, so I took them up on top of the OP and stuff like that, and it was funny because as they're yelling at us for not being shaven or cleaned up, I go a quarter of the way up this. It's like 100 yards probably, like almost straight up. And I go up a quarter of the way with them, and I say, "All right, I'll be right back." And so I run to the top, and I'd say, "Hey, LT, the sergeant major is coming up and the colonel, so just be ready." So we're like trying to put our uniforms on and everything instead of like just our t-shirts. And I run back down, and he's bear crawling. He sits down. He's like, "I can't do it." I'm like, "Go eat your midnight chow and leave us alone." How about that? Are you kidding me?
That was it, huh? Did he make it to the OP?
He made it up to the top. He did eventually. And I'm like, but I came back down. I kind of put a little bit of fear in him. I said, "Sergeant Major, this is not the spot that you want to stop. Right there, that town, that's Taliban held. Anybody in that town shoots at us. And if they see that we're not moving quick, they're going to take pop shots. So you're going to need to," I mean, mostly true.
Yeah.
He was like sitting down looking. I was like, no. You need to move, Sergeant Major. You need to go. And I mean, and no offense to the brass, it wasn't even my sergeant major. I don't think that was there at the time. It was like a different unit or whatever. But But yeah, I mean, it was a wild, wild west. We were just shooting firefights every day, but we were the northern limit. You know, there was nobody farther pushed than us.
Yeah. One part you're talking about how you ended up shooting 11 javelins in a day, I think. Yeah, that's getting after it on pretty much anyone's standards.
Yeah, I think we shot 29 that whole deployment. It was cool.
Damn.
See, conventional army can be fun.
Yeah.
Shoot javelins.
Yeah. Dude, the conventional army we were with in Ramadi were freaking getting after it every single day. They were awesome. Awesome. Like you were getting in a firefight every day there, huh?
For a bit there we were, and then it died right down. They were just tired because, you know, once they shot once, we let loose. We had enough ammo to last us for years probably. And we let them know.
Yeah. America's real cool when it comes to ammo.
Yeah.
In those situations.
It's like, oh, you guys need more? Yeah, we'll be right there.
All right. Same thing happened. You were like, did you found triple stacked IEDs in your position?
Yeah, so dumbest thing
dang.
ever. We went in and we cleared it, and then we had like Marines EOD, like MARSOC EOD clear stuff. Like there was like an unexploded RPG round on the side of one of the walls, and then there was other booby traps. Well, it turns out where we were rolling all of our like big barrels for the generator and stuff like that was like, it was all booby trapped, right? We're exactly where we stepped. And this guy, Sergeant Barton, he's a great guy. There's this metal out of the ground. He's like, huh, what's that? He starts beating on it with a shovel. And I'm getting ready to go on my R&R.
Oh,
you know?
my
and you
God.
hear ting, ting. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? He's
God.
like, something in the ground here. Just looking at it. He starts digging around. He's like, oh, that's not, oh, shit. And then turns out we were rolling these 50-gallon drums, taking all this supplies right over top, right in the breezeway.
Good God.
It's where so it was so hot there. And, I mean, I get Iraq's hot too, but it was so hot. Like me and my buddy, who was one of my team leaders, would go out there. We'd spray ourselves with a water bottle, be in our PT shorts, spray ourselves with a water bottle, lay on our cots, and just see how long it took to dry. Usually about 10 to 15 minutes to get completely dry. And our cots were right on top of these bombs. Just had no idea, because I mean, EOD came through and they didn't find anything.
So do you figure it was like a commandette that had the battery died or something,
it was pressure plates.
Oh my God!
So like these big drums were having the circuit connect, but the batteries in them died. Luckily we didn't take the property to, after I think after the MARSOC guys got hit, they went in there and booby trapped it all, knowing that we were trying to take it. But somehow the batteries didn't work, which helped out for us because we jumped over a rock wall that they had, where there was like a hole in the wall already from probably a hellfire or something from time before. So right where we, obviously be an easy place for us to jump over. That's where we all jumped over, and there was stuff stacked there too.
Yeah.
So
it's weird you talk about it in here. And I heard this from the Vietnam SEALs. They would set up ambushes on VC, and they would, go, okay, we're going to shoot from here. And when we shoot from here, they're going to take cover over here behind this log. So they'd put a big claymore underneath that log. And you're talking about how the Taliban is doing the same thing over there. Basically, as soon as we start shooting at them, they're going to run to these covered positions. So we'll just put booby traps or mines in any of these covered positions.
Yeah, we actually had to change up our SOPs or standing operating procedures on my third deployment. And instead of diving for cover, you had to take a knee.
Yeah, that's what I was reading, and I was just that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of that's what my predecessors in the SEAL teams in Vietnam's would do to the enemy, and now the enemy was doing it to us or to you guys. It's really scary.